all consumer product, they are bringing legislation, and they are replacing this particular metal, basically this technique, with greener option. So I remember when I moved to England in 2000 and took charge of lab of Birmingham SA office. That time we were consuming approximately 500 kg of lead exclusively for hallmarking application. And you'll be really surprised to know that our current consumption is not even 10 kg. This has become possible because of we implemented hallmark this XRF technique for hallmarking application. We carry out fire assay operation when basically we have to check when we cross-verify the results, or when there is a little bit variability is observed, when we cannot decide that actually whether this product is substandard or not. So, which happens in a very, very limited number of cases. So, one thing is going greener is necessity, not an option, basically. So, the general perception in India is that XRF technology cannot be used for hallmarking application. In my opinion, it is unfounded and completely baseless, because we are already using XRF in our office in Mumbai for the last 2 years, and we get substantial amount of Indian jewelry. We have failed lots of jewelry as well, and we are using it successfully. And the same situation is there in England. Like, there's a lot of Asian population, we get so much of Asian jewelry, and we basically hallmark without any trouble. Yeah, definitely there's a change in the process is required if you are handling Indian type of jewelry. So the question we will be asking today, can we use ED-XRF as alternative reference technique for the quality control of jewelry and precious metal? If the answer comes out yes, if it is an affirmative, then in that situation we will be discussing what exactly India needs to implement this technology successfully. So let's make this objective for today, and with this objective in my mind, I come to my presentation. Those who are in the precious metal field and in hallmarking, they are fully conversant with the Vienna Convention. This is truly a world body represented by 37 countries, and most of them have already implemented the statutory hallmarking, and those who have not, they are in the process of implementing. If you are, India actually attend this meeting as observer. Actually, for last so many years they are attending as observer, and still no progress has been made. They are still observer. So I was thinking that they could have become a member by this time, but sorry, that has not happened. So if you are a member of the Vienna Convention, then, and if you want to use XRF, then you have to meet certain conditions. Number one is, those conditions are listed here, that XRF to be used as destructive technique and surface must be prepared before the analysis. Knowing the technicalities of the XRF, I fully support this norms, because this will not only improve the accuracy, improve the reliability of your results as well. Number two condition, internal XRF method must be accredited to ISO 17025. This gives me additional confidence, basically because at least once in a year, somebody will be auditing your process, your facility, and that will give me confidence. In fact, that everything is right. It's not only that you should get accreditation only for XRF. You are obliged to have the reference facility. When I say reference facility, that's for gold in India context, because you only do hallmarking for gold, if I'm right. So that is the fire assay method. For silver, it is a potentiometric, and for platinum, palladium, it is ICP. But as far as India is concerned, it is a fire assay only. And not only you having the reference facility, you should be accredited to these facilities. It's not like that you buy an XRF and open a corner shop and start certifying jewelry. That is not going to happen. You need a complete system in order to do that. The fourth condition, which is very, very important, in order for an item to pass your result, when you test something, that's your measured value, of the test sample should be higher than or equal to the standard of fineness. When I say standard of fineness, say 75% for 18 carat, 916, 22 carat. After deduction of the measurement of uncertainty, I want to give emphasis to this word, of the measurement of uncertainty. This is nothing but decision rule. This has been implemented, this has been introduced in 2017 ISO 17025 version, and everyone has to follow. Because this aspect I'll be discussing a little later, because this is very, very important. And naturally that is true for every method. You should have a fit for purpose machine. Not any machine will do the job. Reference material, qualified staff, and naturally the procedure in place. So, it is clear from the previous slide, the convention slide, that the measurement of uncertainty of the XRF has a very important role to play for the conformity assessment of jewelry. And I know that there are 827 centers here, and everybody would have written a document, measurement of uncertainty. And now pull out that document from your drawer, because that document is completely useless. The way you have written is not going to work. You have to rewrite your document. Just for your information, we conduct lots of measurement of uncertainty courses, and these are specific to SA officers. The next course will be conducted in CIPS Mumbai. So there we are going to cover all these things. If anybody is interested, can contact us. The convention also talks about the decision rule and accreditation of XRF method. If you read the clause of these clauses 3.7, 7.1.3 of ISO 17025, that clearly states the decision rule must be applied when results are reported as pass or fail. What do you do in the hallmarking? You pass or fail, and then you hallmark the product. Another very important thing is, this rule must be agreed with the customer at contract review stage. So the customer, your jewelers, your refiner, whoever is sending jewelry to you, now can ask to tell me how you are passing or failing my jewelry. What are your norms? What is the basis? They can check your measurement of uncertainty. And if your measurement of uncertainty is high, your system is really not good. So be aware, because this is what is coming. The customer will be asking lots of questions to you. And the accreditation of your XRF, as a matter of fact, any method where you're reporting pass or fail results will not be granted unless those clauses of the decision rules are fulfilled. So this is a very important thing, and I thought I must tell you what exactly this decision rule is. Because knowing this is very important. Yeah. So this is the line. Just see this image. This is your compliance limit. Just imagine that you are hallmarking 18 carat your gold. Your compliance limit, this value is 75%. And this green box which we also call guard band. This box is nothing but your expanded measurement of uncertainty. Those who are familiar with measurement of uncertainty concept, they know that expanded uncertainty is calculated by multiplying combined standard uncertainty by coverage factor of 2. But in this particular case, that gives you value in plus and minus. I am not concerned with the minus value because if anything is below your compliance limit, below your 18 carat or 22 carat, is in any case failed. I am concerned with the positive value. And if it is a positive expanded uncertainty, a single tail we call it, then instead of multiplying measurement of uncertainty by 2, you multiply by a statistical factor of 1.645. So let's understand a little bit this. I have taken a little worst case scenario. Suppose you're hallmarking 18 karat gold and your measurement of uncertainty is 0.31% relative. This is a worst case. Your uncertainty will be much lower than this. So for 18 karat gold, your uncertainty will be 0.23 because it's a relative. So multiply this by 1.645. This gives you this value 0.38. And the decision limit becomes 75 plus 0.038, 75.38. So if your XRF results are greater than equal to 75.38, depending on what your measure, if this is based on 0.31, which I said is very much higher, then you can hallmark your product as pass. If it is less than 75.38, then in that situation we say likely fail. We in England we don't fail anything on the basis of XRF unless the value is substantially lower. That is not a subject what that limit is. So if you follow this method, your XRF method will give you above 95% confidence level. You can simply close your eyes, it will work. I can guarantee you it will work. There is no issue with that. But then my Indian mind started working. Because in India, who the hell is going to make jewelry which is 75%, they don't want to give 75.1 even. You know. So I have to find a solution in Indian context, like how actually this will work. Because when I calculated for 9, 14, 18, 22, then everyone will have to make a little higher jewelry in order for that to pass. So that solution will also come from your something, and that solution will come from fire assay method, which you are very fond of. So what exactly happens in fire assay method? You run one or two proof sample, or you call it a check sample here, a reference sample, and we give the same treatment to that reference sample what we give to other samples of the batch. And that result of that reference sample gives you a correction factor. And that correction factor, basically that is a proof, we apply that correction factor to all the results, that gives you the proof corrected results. Naturally, this correction factor has to be within certain limit. So what is this correction factor? This correction factor is nothing but a drift of your process. So, and drift of your process is what? It is a dynamic uncertainty of the method. So everyone who's doing the fire assay, this is what you do. Is there anything you do differently, Mr. Ajmera? No. This is the same thing you do. So, now if the dynamic uncertainty works in the fire assay process, why can't it work in the XRF process? It should work in the XRF process as well. It works. We have done that, but I'll just show you. So like fire assay process, in XRF analysis 2, we can calculate the process drift in the element of interest, which is gold in your case, as a correction factor, that is actually a real-time uncertainty. So by running a reference closely matched, I am using the word closely matched. There is a reason. Reference standard. But two conditions must be fulfilled if you are doing this. Number one, your reference standard must contain all the elements present in your test sample, and it should be analyzed nearly at the same time in the same environmental conditions. Somebody say, oh, how can I match it? There is a technical way you can match any standard with your sample. But I'm not discussing that. If you want to ask, you can ask me later. Your measured value of the reference standard must be within your uncertainty range, because when you buy a standard, they give you measurement of uncertainty. So your value should be within that. If that value is not within that, in that situation something is seriously wrong with your process, you have to recalibrate your machine. So you calculate the drift, certified value, which is your reference standard, and what you have measured at that moment against the same calibration. That gives you the drift. Make sure always subtract measured value from certified value, because the minus or plus sign plays a very important role. And the decision limit, so then you carry out the testing of your sample at that drift, that gives you the decision limit. And if your decision limit is greater than equal to standard of fineness, is pass. If it is less than this, it's likely fail. Now you say, what is the difference? The measurement of uncertainty calculated this way will be much lower than the calculated by the previous method. So this is the difference. When you will carry out the experiment, you will carry out the testing, you yourself will know. So, what is a summary? So we have discussed two different models for calculating the different decision limit. One, it was the guard band model, using the measurement of uncertainty calculated by conventional method. Okay? The second is the drift correction factor, a measurement of uncertainty calculated on a real-time basis. Real-time basis uncertainty is always very, very accurate. So either of the above two approaches may be used and applied when results are reported, and results can be reported as pass or fail, and I can confirm to you, I can guarantee you that both these approaches work. Whether it is an Indian type of jewelry or a Western type of jewelry, both these approaches basically work, subject to the critical point below. The most important part here is calculation of measurement of uncertainty. That's why I was telling, pull out your document which you have in your drawer, because you all have written, those documents are completely useless now. You have to rewrite it. And the drift correction factor, if these two important parameters are not correctly estimated, then your results will have some inaccuracy in them, and you will be putting more samples for testing by reference method than it is required to. So one thing I tell you, because the time is very limited, it is not possible for me to divulge the full details of the method and the statistical principle we follow to arrive at the correct result, but I can confirm that these models work satisfactorily, and the Western world has already following either of these two approaches. The second one is the most popular in the Western world. Okay? So, what India needs? What is the way forward for India? If India has to implement XRF technique for hallmarking center, number one, they need a standardized method. Someone has already done that job, someone has already done the validation, why you want to repeat the same thing again? You basically ask for that particular method. A set of tailored calibration standard with international traceability. This is very important, because your results should not only be accepted in the domestic market, it should be accepted internationally. So that is what is important. Statistical sampling plan. This is part of this whole process, but I cannot cover it here. This is also very, very important, along with the technical and operational manual. So you need this, you need training goes and then the process, and at the end, I will say an open mind. Don't form an opinion and make decision until you know all the facts. Because this is very easy, it is not going to work. Try first. You know, you challenge me, I challenge you, someone will be right. That's the simple statement. So what are the benefits? It will create a common quality assurance system across the internal market. It will improve your mutual acceptance of the results between manufacturer, because everyone is following the same method. So what results I am getting, you will also get the same day. So you will accept my results and gradually this market will set. But no single organization in this world has all the expertise, I can tell you. Someone can melt better, like for example, if I am making a standard. Someone knows how to do meltings, other one can do homogeneity better, third analysis better, you need a grammatic expertise. Fisher can do, I'm not taking only Fisher, they're all XRF, everyone is good. They can do better, they know more about the machine. So joining hand is the only way forward. That's the only way. I know after this there is a session, basically panel discussion. But in last, I will say 1 year, I have received several emails from the government authorities and experts and the hallmarking center asking one particular question, and I really want to answer that, and you can debate it also in the panel discussion. So one thing I must tell you, dishonest people are everywhere. You go any part of the world, you will find this breed. Okay? So if person wants to cheat, I can tell you so many ways to cheat. If you know the technicality, you know all those parts. Okay, this is the jewelry. Thousands of pieces, but I'm just giving you picture one. We received, and you can see the fellow has marked 22 carat. When we carried out the XRF test, we found this is substandard. Okay. Then we did the full postmortem of that particular jewelry, and we found it is much, much lower. So if this condition exists in England, then basically SA office becomes responsible. SA office has to compensate customer. But this is not a law. This is basically gentleman agreement. And this was going on for so many years, but now this has to change because the jewelry is not being manufactured in England. It is coming from outside, different. So, I was asked this question by the government authority, very senior authorities from the Ministry of Finance, that if this condition exists in India, what exactly is your suggestion? Probably this question is coming from your internal domestic market. So I have my own view on this, and which I am advocating in England also, but this is just my opinion. If any hallmark product is found to be substandard quality, and the concerned retailer is charged for product liability and the breach of statutory duty, then as a first step, both retailers and hallmarking center will have to demonstrate by documentary evidence that they took all the reasonable steps under the law and exercise all due diligence to avoid committing the offense. What is due diligence? What is reasonable step is defined in the law in the United Kingdom, and there are so many court cases also. The court has already defined it. So in a very short, simple term, I'll say all reasonable step means you have a system and procedure in control. And the exercising all due diligence, your system works. When I say system works, evidence is required. Your jewelers is testing their product. They're asking the people, the karigars and all, that you certify that this is meeting the requirement. So what exactly hallmarking center does? Hallmarking center, when the jewelry lot comes to them, they statistically, basically they take a random sample from your product and they carry out testing. If that particular sample is meeting the requirement or declared purity, they hallmark the article. They don't do the postmortem, just be aware. They are just doing the statistical sampling. So, the hallmarking center can be punished only when they have not exercised the due diligence or followed this reasonable step. Means what they have done, if they have simply spread the article and just hallmark, and they have colluded with the jewelers and for pecuniary gain and then hallmark. When there is a negligence on their part, so this is negligence, that you could have easily detected that this product is substandard, but you still hallmark because of some reasons. So, hallmarking center, if that is proven, you punish them. You suspend their license, you impose a hefty fine, but they cannot be made liable for compensating the customer. Because ultimate responsibility lies with the retailers, as they have a legal obligation. If you read the law, they have a legal obligation to ensure the jewelry item meets the requirement of hallmarking regulation. It is their duty. If you read the REACH law, if you read every law, it is a retailer, manufacturer, exporter, importer, all these are responsible for that. And law cannot be too different. You apply REACH differently and hallmarking differently. So they must and should have exercised the control at all levels to meet the obligation. Before sending the jewelry to the hallmarking center, at least they should have a 95% confidence level. It means that hallmarking center, if suppose somebody has put a wire or copper wire and outside is a bonded gold, if you cannot detect, hallmarking center cannot be punished for that, because they have tried their level best. On that basis, whatever information was available, they have done that thing. So when it comes to compensating the customer, a victim of fraud, it will be the retailer's sole responsibility to compensate. I'm advocating this principle in UK. This is my view. This is not a UK government view or UK SA office view. But people agree with this now. So with this, I come to end of my presentation. Any question, feel free to ask me. You can grill me with any question. Okay, fine. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manchanda, for that very, very informative presentation that you shared with us on the significance of XRF method in India for the Indian markets.